Hi, this is Randy, Old Rev May. Thank you for joining Omega Times. Glad to have you here today. Glad you're watching my video. If you have an opportunity, would you please click on that right bottom? There's a red box. Subscribe to the channel. And if you would give me a comment, if you'd like to, and if you would give me a thumbs up, these are the things that'll help me get the channel pushed out to other people. They won't help me till I get to a certain level. Thank you for everyone that has subscribed and for those that are going to subscribe. Let's get into it. The commercial's over with, all right? We're going to talk about, do you have physical pain every day? There are people out there, and even mental pain, who deal with pain and issues every day. Every day, they have something to deal with, and a lot of them are Christian people, and they pray for healing, but they haven't been healed. So I'm trying to shoot you straight here and give you an honest version of what life is about from someone that's lived quite a few years, and my father and my mother were pastors, and I grew up a PK, a preacher's kid, and then I pastored for 22 years. I've evangelized. I've been interim pastor at 3 churches. I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to tell you, I've been around the block more than once. This year's 50 years I've been preaching. So I wrote a poem. I'm not a poem writer, never written one in my life. I've written one, and I've never written one since. But I wanted to read this to you to start it off with. This poem says, have you ever had pain and it won't go away? You could have pain. Let me read this again. Sorry. Having trouble getting it from here to here. Have you ever had pain and it won't go away? You wished you could be pain-free for just one day. One day of no pain, no sickness, no anguish. Just be done with it at least one day. Your heart breaks inside of your chest. You wished you could have one day of peace and rest. All right? But then I know my God is real. I cannot go by how I feel. All right? You can't live on feelings. I need to turn things over to Him. You say, why? Because I'm the apple of His eye. God cares about you. He cares that you're going through pain. Whether it's mentally or physically, the Lord cares. It could be both or one or the other. And God cares about you, and He loves you because you're the apple of His eye. If you're His child, He loves you and you're part of the family of God, and the Lord cares about you. Just because you live in pain every day and you haven't been healed does not mean you don't have enough faith. We hear that all the time, especially faith preachers that have healing ministries. If they pray for you and you don't get healed, it's never their fault. It's your fault. You didn't have enough faith. If you had enough faith, they put it on you. That way they can keep going the way they're going and drawing people in. Well, my wife took our handicapped daughter with one of her best friends to one of these faith healers meetings and drove a long way to get there and round trip and to come back. And I told her before she left, I said, look, my dad had meetings at the Kiel Auditorium in St. Louis. He had a big meeting with a minister friend of his down in Memphis, Tennessee, and up in Michigan. And, people in these auditoriums, I said, they will not pray for her. When they see she's in a wheelchair and that she's completely disabled, they will not pray for her. And what happened? They got her up real close to the stage, and his handler stopped her, made her get out of line, and he never prayed for her, and he never took her on there. Why? Because they weren't going to get the effect they wanted, and she wasn't going to get healed. So it's that simple. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. They think it's terrible. But you take somebody that has cerebral palsy to one of them, they're not going to get them up on there. They're not going to bring people up. They're in real bad shape. They want people up there that's going to act the way they want them to act. So anyway, for what that's worth, I threw it out there. You can take it however you want. If you haven't had a handicapped child for over 40 years and went through numerous surgeries and brain surgery more than once, you don't feel my pain. You don't know, but you you grasp at almost any straw you can to try to make your child well. But don't ever buy into it. It's your fault. You don't have enough faith. I remember back in the mid 60s, I don't remember what year it was. I used to remember that, but I'm working on it. God's helping me. I saw some men. We had two vestibules in front of our church. The first one gave you access to go into the sanctuary, go to the men's restroom, or go to the nursery. The first one was where the two church office and my father's office, and it was marble out there, the floor was, and it was an old theater that we converted to a church. And there was like 8 or 10 men standing out there, and they had announced that my dad had had a heart attack. And my dad, I was probably 10 to 12 years old, I don't know, somewhere around there. And I heard these men saying, he must have sinned, he must have done something wrong, God wouldn't let him have a heart attack. Yeah, God, don't let things like that happen unless there's something wrong with you and all that. That really hurt me. It made me mad too. And eventually my mom, what's bothering you? And I told her. And then she sat down and explained to me, God don't go around making people sick. He don't go around giving people heart attacks and all this. All those men that were standing there saying it, over the years of going to the church, some of them got eyeglasses, some got hearing aids, some of them had to have heart surgery, some of them had other surgeries. One guy had blood pressure real bad. The other one got diabetes real bad, and evidently didn't manage it well. He wound up losing both of his legs up past his knees and all that. And I thought back as an older person of what they said and thought, well, what did they do wrong? What caused them to have those problems? So you need to be careful when you say somebody's failed God, they don't have enough faith, or God did that. Then God don't go around making people have heart attacks. Some people eat salt on everything. They eat fried foods. They eat bad stuff, and they clog up their arteries. God didn't do it. They did. All right? So we need to realize some things are just life, and we can't blame God for everything that goes on. That's not what we're supposed to do. John 5, verses 5 through 9 says, we read about a man in that passage of verse who had been sick and laying there for 38 years. That's a long time to be ill and have a sickness, 38 years, almost 4 decades of laying around and being sick. And Jesus saw this man, and Jesus asked him, would you like to get well? Now, most people would say, you got to be kidding me. I'm laying here trying to get in the pool. I'm not able to get in. I've been here 38 years. Yeah, you know I want to get healed. But that's what the Lord asked him. Do you want to get healed? I had more than one person over the years that came down for prayer, and I went to pray for him. I'd say, what's wrong? And she told me her problems, real brief. I didn't want everything in detail. I just said, what would you like me to pray about? She could have said, I just have a bad back. I prayed for her. Or I got a problem with high sugar. I prayed for her. But she wanted to tell me what all was wrong with her, and I kept trying to get her hurry up because I had about 15 other people that needed prayer, 12 or 15, something like that. And so I said, well, then we'll pray that God will heal you and you can do it. Now, this lady was not in her 50s or 60s. She was probably in her mid to late 30s, and she walked with a cane. And she said, I said, I'll pray that God, you can put that cane away and that you'll get better and all that. And all of a sudden her eyes got real big and she said, oh, no, don't do that. I said, what? She goes, if I do that, I'll lose my disability. I'll have to go back to work. I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, why'd you come down and get prayed for if you don't want God to heal you? But that's basically what she said. So you'd be surprised what you hear from people when you try to pray for them. John, in this passage in John, we talk about a man who had been sick 38 years. And Jesus saw that he needed help. I don't have anyone to put me down in the pool when the water is being stirred. He can't get there first because he's not able to walk. He's crippled. If you're not the first to get in the pool, you don't get healed. Jesus said to him, get up, take your pallet and walk. And immediately, in verse 9, it says, immediately this man became well, picked up his pallet, and began to walk. And so he was healed. Jesus healed that man by the pool. Why? Because he wasn't able to get first in the pool, but the Lord healed him. Now I'm going to get some people mad at me when I say this. All the other people were laying there that was sick, waiting to get in the pool. They never got prayed for. They never got healed. Not everyone got healed. The man that Jesus prayed for got healed, but not everyone else did. Here goes. Jesus did not heal other people who were blind and lame or withered who were there at that pool that day. He prayed for this one specific guy. And I feel in my heart, you can feel, work out your own salvation in fear and trembling, that if he would have healed everybody there, the scripture would have said that. Then Jesus moved on and prayed, and everyone who was withered, sick, etc., would have been healed. It doesn't say that. It just talks about that man, and that's it. Now, you can believe what you want to believe, but there are a lot of people that never get healed. Jesus didn't heal all those people that day. Christ can heal anyone at any time of anything. He can do it anytime, anywhere, anything, no matter what it is. All right? It does not mean that you have sinned if you don't get healed. It does not mean that you're not living right for the Lord because you don't get healed. And don't let people tell you, well, if you had enough faith, they always like to use it. If you had enough faith, it's always your fault that you don't get healed is because you don't have enough faith. They act like faith's a commodity that you can go and buy and store it up and use it. It doesn't work that way, all right? You see men and women on TV that are TV preachers, and I've seen them on there that talk about not only God can heal you, but they say that you can stay well, not even get sick. Yet when they're preaching, they're wearing these. Then you see them turn a certain way, and you can see down in their ear their hearing aid. One of them even said on TV that they got a pacemaker. All right? They're telling you God can heal you of anything, and that you don't have to be sick. Yet they're wearing eyeglasses, got a pacemaker, and got hearing aids. And there's some of them on there that have other problems besides that. And so we need to realize that as you get older, your body starts wearing out. Some people, I've got a friend right now, he's 95. I've known him for almost 40 years. We're friends. And he worked for me for quite a few years. I was his manager. And he lives at home by himself. He's not relatively sick. He doesn't have high blood pressure, heart trouble. He's never been operated on. To my knowledge, he's never spent a day in the hospital. And he don't go to church. He don't serve the Lord. I don't know what his heart is between him and God, because I asked him a couple of times, and he told me I'm already right with the Lord. So you can't help someone or try to help them if they've already feel that they're saved and they're living. So anyway, the point I'm making, those people are few and far between. How many people do you know that's 95 years old and they've never been in the hospital and they're not taking any medication and they're not sick? Excuse me. I need to get a fancy cup. Well, we got some. I need to use one of them instead of the bottle. Sorry. Christ can heal anybody at any time of anything, and I agree with it, and I believe in healing. But you see these people on TV talking about being healed, and you should be healed when they're not healed themselves. Right? And they have health problems themselves. People get surgeries. People need glasses. People do get hearing aids. Some people have to get physical or occupational therapy because they're balanced off or they're having problems. Just because you seek help from a doctor does not mean you're still not a child of God. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't pray and ask for healing. But not everybody gets healed. Not everybody gets healed of everything. A lot of people don't like that, but look at what real life's about. Look at your family members and close friends and people you go to church with who have a hard time walking, they have to have a cane or whatever it may be. As you get older, things happen. All right, I wished I could still play baseball, but I can't. I can't run all over the field, and I did that when I was in my late 30s. I hadn't played since I was 27. I was around 39, give or take 38, somewhere in there, maybe 40. And I went out and played softball with a bunch of people that I knew, And I had a good day, and I played pretty good. I caught almost every ball hit my way, and made two throws and threw people out and all this. We were all in our 30s and 40s. But the next day I couldn't hardly get out of bed. And the next 3 or 4 days I could hardly drag. It was almost a week till I got all these pains to go away. Why? Because I wasn't 25 or 26 years old anymore. I wasn't in great shape physically. I wasn't exerting myself. So I can't blame the devil for that. And we realize that pulled muscles and sore will eventually heal up and the pain will dissipate. That's the way life is. Even Paul had his thorn in the flesh, and people argue all the time on what it could be. It was his eyes, it was this, it was that. We don't know. But he carried an infirmary with him. Just like life, some people face sickness and health problems. If you've been healed, God's still in the healing business. God still answers prayer. But we need to realize that it's not because of us being not having enough faith to get healed. There's nothing wrong in going to a doctor and asking a doctor to help when you need help. Now, let me tell you this real quick here, and I'll try to wrap this up. The first week of June, I don't remember what day it was, it doesn't matter, but somewhere the first week of June in 2025 this year, I had a stroke. And I couldn't talk, and my eyes kept fluttering, and felt like I was going to pass out. I got my grandson's name out. He lives with us. He's 19, and he come running in and grabbed me underneath my arms and held me up. We were facing each other, and I said, "Get me to the couch." He said, "No, your office is right here." He took 3 or 4 steps, set me down in my office chair, and I said, "I did get this out. Dial 911. I think I'm having a stroke." Now, I never had one before, so I wasn't sure, but when you can't speak and you can't move your muscles right and walk, it's probably a stroke. But anyway, that's what I told him. He called for the ambulance, right? My son and his wife, she's an RN, got here before they did. And she evaluated me, knelt down on her knees and patted me and talked to me, and, "Dad, you're having a stroke, just relax. They'll be here soon." And she started working with me, and I knew I was in trouble, all right? On the way to the hospital, I kept praying in my mind, "God, please take care of me. Please stop this, take care of me," and all that. Now, I've served God almost my entire life and preached for 50 years, but yet I had a stroke. Well, when they got me there, they immediately were waiting for me. They wasn't crowded, which was really nice. I had 8 or 9 people. Now, I guess they dressed different each day or whatever, but all of them had black doctor's clothes on. I used to know the name, I can't think of them, but anyway, they had those. And when they were rolling me in the door, I wasn't even in the hospital yet, some woman put 4 baby aspirin in my hand, said, "Put these in your mouth." She had water, and I put them in her and drank them. And they started jabbing me before I got in the room. And the doctor asked me questions, and he told them, I could hear him. He said, "He's having a stroke. We need to get him down and get a CAT scan of his brain right now, his head." He didn't say brain. I think he said head, but I don't remember. Anyways, and they did, and he come in and told me, he said, by then, they had put an IV in. They gave me some medicine through the IV. I don't know what they gave me. Anyways, I had a stroke. And he said, "Not only that, you had one recently. You've had 2 strokes." And so I was like perplexed. But after about 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6, I started being able to talk, and I started being able to move my hands around and do things, and I knew that I was going to make it, but I'd never had one of them before. Let me say, furthest thing from my mind was, you must have done something wrong, or God wouldn't let this happen to you. Never thought that. Nor did I think that that God was punishing me because of something I did or whatever. It was a stroke. People have heart attacks. People have strokes. Most people die of something someday. The Bible says, appoint unto man once to die, and after that the judgment. We're all going to die. All right, nobody gets out of here alive. So you need to realize that. But just because you're in physical pain every day and you're not healed, and because you have health issues and you seek a doctor out, does not mean that you're not a child of God. Doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. It means it's part of life is getting sick. Maybe you get the flu. Maybe you get pneumonia. Things happen. But God loves you and He cares about you. And you don't have to be ashamed of having sickness in your body. Just pray and ask God to help you and heal you. And if you can't get healed or you aren't getting healed, don't blame yourself. Don't think you don't have enough faith. It's your fault. Go seek help. Don't lay there like me. If I were to let that go on, I could have had a major stroke and could have been crippled for life, or it could have got worse. But I sought out help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. Nothing wrong with going to a doctor. It doesn't mean that you don't have enough faith. It means that you're sick and you realize that you need help. I prayed the whole time on the way to the hospital in my mind. I couldn't talk because my words were slurred and it was really hard to talk. But in my mind, I was 100%. I knew what was going on. I could hear them. And I was asking God to intervene and help me. So God loves you and I love you. Remember, you don't have to be a sinner or do something wrong to get sick. And if you're in pain, God can help you and doctors can help you. I know people don't like to hear that, but I'm just trying to tell you the truth. Look at people and you'll understand. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time, Old Rev May signing off. God loves you and so do I.